Luke and Oliver. They both also not looking to pull a bloody knife out of my purse instead of my cell phone. We've got Daisy Darker by Alex Feeney. Alex Finlay, Alice Feeney. Alex Finlay, Alice Feeney. Stick with me here, guys. Medoff? Why can't I say her name? Medoff. I keep wanting to say Madoff, like Bernie. Let me try that again. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse, and welcome to How Did We Get Here? It's another month and we were talking about books that are coming out in the month ahead, which in this case is August. And you guys, I feel like I say this every month, but like I really mean it this time. This month is crazy. There's so many good books. And I wanna say I have like a dozen books that I wanna talk about. So I'm gonna try and rein it in and not give like full-blown explanations on everything necessarily, just some like national news, not local, like my old boss used to say when I would ramble on and on and on about stuff. So there's so many books coming out. I've got some pre-orders, I've got some auto buys, I've got some I can't wait. Finally, Ashley Winstead, The Last Housewife, finally it's time. So without any further ado, let's talk about what's coming out in August. Okay, we're coming out strong on August 2nd and it's Husband Material by Alexis Hall. So I am currently reading Boyfriend Material, which is book number 1 in this series, which is a fake dating Luke and Oliver. I think we all know, even though I'm only 30% of the way into that book, that there's a happily ever after that's gonna happen, and there's a book number 2. But like I said, I am 30% into it and I'm already like, yep, I'm totally gonna read book number 2 because I love it. And I started listening to this a little while ago. I want to say it was like the beginning of July, and it was much like Fool Me Once by Ashley Winstead, where the first page of the audiobook, I was laughing out loud and I was like, yep, I'm totally into this book. And then I promptly went out and bought a physical copy of it. So I wound up getting a little bit sidetracked because I had a bunch of holds from my library that all came running in. So anyway, I am picking it back up again as of today. It is July 25th. What is time? But suffice to say, their story will continue in Husband Material and I cannot wait for it. So August 2nd, starting the month strong. There you go. Next up is When We Were Bright and Beautiful by Julian Medoff. And I have not read anything by her, but I saw the blurb on this one and I was like, I am super intrigued. So this is You Can Have Everything and Still Not Have Enough. And this takes place in the Upper East Side, and it says it explores the dark side of love, the limits of loyalty, and the high cost of truth. So it is a deeply emotional family drama. I love some salacious Upper East, Upper West Side, Manhattan, rich people behaving badly kind of a thing. A lot of hand motions going on here as well. So this book has a little bit of kind of like a night swim feel to it for me in some ways. So we have our main character, Cassie Quinn, and it says she may only be 23, but she knows a few things. 1, money can't buy happiness, but it's certainly better to have it. 2, family matters most. 3, her younger brother, Billy, is not a rapist. So Billy is a junior at Princeton. He's arrested for assaulting his ex-girlfriend, and Cassie comes back to Manhattan to join her family and her older brother and her parents, and to hire sort of, you know, the best legal team that money can buy and to prove that her brother is innocent. So we've got Cassie kind of on the family side of things. Cassie knows her little brother's ex, so she's wondering why Diana would do such a thing. And it says, she knows how the end of first love can destroy someone. Her own years-long affair with a powerful, charismatic man left her shattered, and she's only recently regained her footing. As reporters converge outside their Upper East Side landmark building, the Quinns gird themselves for a media-saturated trial, and Cassie vows she'll do whatever it takes to save Billy. But what if that means exposing her own darkest secrets to the world? So I don't know if the plot line of Cassie and sort of the older man that she was involved with is going to have like a My Dark Vanessa vibe to it. I'm not sure. That's just me guessing and projecting different stuff, but I'm very intrigued. I really enjoyed The Night Swim by Megan Golden. Megan Golden is going to make an appearance on this list as well. So again, caught my attention, wanted to shout about it. Next up is Thank You for Listening by Julia Whalen. So if you guys have been around me for a minute or you have been listening to an audiobook, then you will know that Julia Whalen is the queen of all things audiobook. She's done Taylor Jenkins Reid, she's done She was Addie LaRue for V.E. Schwab. She's done so many books. She did Gone Girl. She was Amy Dunn. Like, so hyper talented. I have loved her since that TV show Once and Again, and I just love sort of like re-meeting her again through this audiobook land, and she is just such an epic talent. So she did write a book, My Oxford Year, which I haven't read, but I saw this and I was like, I have to read this. This is fiction, but it is the story of a former actress turned successful audiobook narrator who has lost sight of her dreams after a tragic accident, and her journey of self-discovery, love, and acceptance when she agrees to narrate one last romance novel. So I love the meta aspect of this entire thing. I think this is going to be so much fun, and I just think she's just such a talented actor, both on stage and screen and also in the audiobooks. So in this, she is, like it says, it's narrating in a romance book, and she is doing the narration with Brock McKnight, the industry's hottest, most secretive voice. So she starts working on the book. She has her own romance pseudonym that she uses, and she and Brock forge a real connection hidden behind the comfort of anonymity. Soon she is dreaming again, but if secrets are revealed and the realities of life come crashing down around her once more. If she can learn to risk everything for desires she has long buried, she will discover a world of intimacy and acceptance she never believed would be hers. So I think it's just going to be such great fun, and I'm really excited to see what she does. And I've had a few people also recommend My Oxford Year, so I know I definitely need to check that one out as well. Consider it on the list along with 100 other things. But again, love Julia Whalen, and I will read what she writes and listen to whatever she narrates. I'm in. Now for August 9th, and here is Megan Golden making her, I don't want to say debut on the list. Here's Megan Golden making her appearance on the list. So she wrote The Escape Room, which I absolutely loved, and she wrote The Night Swim, which I mentioned before, which I absolutely loved. And this is the newest, and in this one we have a woman named Liv, and it says she wakes up in the back of a taxi with no idea where she is or how she got there. When she's dropped off at the door of her brownstone, a stranger answers, a stranger who now lives in her apartment and forces her out into the cold. She reaches for her phone to call for help, only to discover it's missing, and in its place is a blood-stained knife. That's when she sees that her hands are covered in black pen, scribbled messages like graffiti on her skin, "Stay awake." I'm super, super interested. So it says, in the vein of S.J. Watson's Before I Go to Sleep, which I haven't read, and Christopher Nolan's cult classic Memento, which I haven't read or seen, Megan Golden's Stay Awake is an electrifying novel that plays with memory and murder. So I don't know how many years of her life she's lost. I love me an amnesia book. I have definitely read a few of them. There is this one which is not murder mystery, but it's called A Clean Slate by Laura Caldwell, which I read years ago. And it's this woman who wakes up, goes to the dry cleaner to pick up her stuff, and finds out that like her stuff has been at the dry cleaner for 3 months, and she has like no memory of what happened in between, and comes to find out that basically she's no longer engaged, she's lost her job, and it's her chance to have a clean slate and reinvent herself, which, not that I'm ever looking to get amnesia like that, but I love the idea of a clean slate and starting over. Also not looking to pull a bloody knife out of my purse instead of my cell phone, but I am here for it happening to other people. So this one I will be reading. I actually have the ARC from NetGalley. I haven't read it yet, but I'm super jazzed. Next up is You're Invited by Amanda J. Atisa. So I read My Sweet Girl last year and I absolutely loved it. It was one of my favorite thrillers of last year. So basically I need to know nothing about this book and I'm going to buy it. But it says, what could be worse than your ex-boyfriend marrying your childhood best friend? Getting accused of her murder, ... So in this one, we are in Sri Lanka for a wedding celebration that not everyone will survive. So a little bit of the guest list vibes by Lucy Foley, but I imagine based on My Sweet Girl, it's probably gonna be a lot darker, I hope. Totally here for it. So it's a week-long wedding celebration in this one. And it says, nothing is as it seems, as Jay Atisa expertly unravels that each wedding guest has their own dark secret and agenda. And Amaya, who is the one accused of the murder, of course, may not be the only one with a plan to keep the bride from getting her happily ever after. So I know this was a book of the month early selection in July, but it actually comes out in August. I can't wait, you guys. This has been one of my most anticipated books of the year. I have super high hopes for this one. And again, based on my absolute love for My Sweet Girl, the story, the main character, the writing style, I know that this one is definitely going to be top tier for me as well. And finally, you guys, August 16th, The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I can't wait. PSA, The fabulous people at Murder by the Book in Houston, Texas, along with Ashley Winstead, are doing personalized pre-orders of this book for anyone else who's interested. So their website is linked down below for you guys. Not sponsored, just a fan and love to spread the news. But you guys know I am obsessed with Ashley Winstead. I have read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife twice. I loved Fool Me Once, and I have been just at the edge of my seat for this. My NetGalley purgatory will remain. It's still in limbo. Fair chance to say they're not going to give me the arc of it, but that's okay, because a few weeks from now I will have this magic book in my hands. So this is a pitch black thriller about a woman determined to destroy a powerful cult and avenge the deaths of the women taken in by it, no matter the cost. Everyone I follow who has read this book early has said it is just absolutely spectacular and so super dark and messed up. This is not going to be a for everybody kind of a book, but it 1000% sounds like a for Audrey kind of a book. So I would like to go into this kind of blind, so I don't want to read too much. I know high level concept of it. So it's while in college in upstate New York, While in college in upstate New York, Shay Evans and her best friends met a captivating man who seduced them with a web of lies about the way the world works, bringing them under his thrall. By senior year, Shay and her friend Laurel were the only ones who managed to escape. Now 8 years later, Shay's built a new life in a Tony, Texas suburb. But when she hears the horrifying news of Laurel's death, delivered of all ways by her favorite true crime podcast, Crusader, she begins to suspect that the past she thought she buried is very much alive, and the predators are more dangerous than ever. So Shay recruits the help of the podcaster, and as it said in the beginning, she is committed to destroying this cult and avenging the death of these women, no matter the cost. So I suspect, / hope, / can't wait for this to do every dark, twisted, messed up thing known. And when I read it, I will let you guys know what I thought about it. So yay, finally, August 16th, it's coming out. It's coming out. Staying on the true crime podcast vibe, we have All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. So Ashley is the host of the true crime podcast Crime Junkie in real life, and then this is her debut novel. So in this one, we have a journalist uncovers her hometown's dark secrets when she becomes obsessed with the unsolved murder of her childhood neighbor and the disappearance of another girl 20 years later. So this book takes place in Indiana, and it is 20 years ago. We have January Jacobs, who was found dead in a ditch hours after her family awoke to find her gone. Margot Davies was 6 at the time, the same age as January, and they were next door neighbors. It's been 20 years since. Margot has grown up, moved away, and become a big city journalist, but she's always been haunted by the fear that it could have been her. And the worst part is January's killer has never been brought to justice. So Margot winds up returning home because she needs to take care of her sick uncle, and no sooner is she home that a 5-year-old girl disappears, and it's under eerily similar circumstances. So as the blurb said, Margot becomes obsessed not only with what happened to January all those years ago, but what happened to this new girl Natalie now, and she starts to investigate. And I'm gonna guess somebody out there is not too jazzed that she's looking into what happened. So this one sounds, again, right up my alley, and I think it's just gonna be super interesting, and I'm just really excited. These small town, multiple timelines, it gives me a little bit of a Girl 11 vibe, where in that one, we had girls that had gone missing, and in the present day, we have a true crime podcaster trying to solve a cold case. So this is sort of like similar but different, but giving me that same feeling, and I'm 1000% here for it. So debut novel works for me. Hey guys, it's Editing Audrey here, who is not at all camera ready as she is editing this video and realizes that I totally forgot to talk about Runtime by Catherine Ryan Howard. So this also comes out on August 16th. It actually comes out on August 11th in the UK. And I pre-ordered this, so there's no reason why I should have forgotten about this book. But super quickly, this is, as you can see, movie making can be murder. So this is thriller set on a movie set. I love the whole concept of this. So the project is called Final Draft, and basically isolated cabin in the woods. All the bad things are going to start to happen on this set. And we have our former soap star, Adele Rafferty. So she has stepped in to replace the lead actress who has left at the very last minute. Not sure why. And Adele is convinced this is going to be her big break. But It says something isn't quite right on the set of Final Draft. Adele is about to discover that the real horror lies off the page. So I had listened to an interview with Catherine Ryan Howard when she was talking about 56 Days, but she had written runtime already. And I'm pretty sure this is one of those things that are happening in the script start to happen in real life kind of a thing, but it's basically a real life horror movie for all of these people. So I loved 56 Days. I loved The Nothing Man. I am so excited for this book. And again, so horrified that I forgot to include it in the original video. So here you go, another one you guys have to pick up. Coming up on August 23rd, we have Girl Forgotten by Karen Slaughter. So technically this is number 2 in the Andrea Oliver series. So I have not read book number 1. It's been a minute since I've read a Karen Slaughter book, but you guys know that I totally enjoy her content as a writer and her advice. And I am a little skittish with some of the violence on the page with Karen Slaughter. I know she doesn't pull any punches, and I completely respect her for that, and I completely respect the people who don't have a problem with that. I know sometimes I can get a little squeamish, and it just depends on like the degree of darkness in a book, but I also want to read more of her books. So this one reached to me, reached out to me, connected with me. Anyway, here's what it's about. So small town, big secret. Who killed Emily Vaughn? So it says prom night, Long Beach, 1982. Emily Vaughn dresses carefully for what's supposed to be the highlight of any high school career. But Emily has a secret. And by the end of the night, because of that secret, she will be dead. So nearly 40 years later, Andrea Oliver, who was in book number 1. I don't know what happened in book number 1, but book number 2 brings her to an assignment to go to Long Beach to protect a judge receiving death threats. But Andrea's real focus isn't the judge, it's Emily Vaughn. Vaughn. There's some New York for you. Every once in a while, I'm reminded where I'm from. It's Emily Vaughn. Ever since she first heard Emily's name a year ago, she's been haunted by her brutal death. Nobody was ever convicted. Her friends closed ranks. Her family shut themselves off in grief, and the town moved on. So the killer is still out there, but now Andrea has a chance to find out what really happened. So again, in a similar but different way, this also feels like all good people here. So we have small town, mystery in the past, we have someone who's coming to investigate it now, and the town itself maybe not so jazzed that someone's coming to look into things. So I don't know if it was like the prom 1982 that sort of struck the chord with me, where I was like, this sounds fun, or just I'm gonna be brave and come into some Karen Slaughter again here. But this one's on my list. I'm excited to read it, and I'll let you guys know. I keep saying that, but I will, because that's what I do. The next book I have is The Darkness of Others by Kate Holohan. So I got this arc from Kate herself. She was actually doing a giveaway on her Instagram, and it is on my nightstand, which means I'm going to read it next. So this one is about a woman named Amani Banks, and she lives in a posh Brooklyn Heights neighborhood that has just been rocked to its core. An acclaimed movie director has been murdered, and his blonde trophy wife, Amani's closest friend, is missing. Their neighbors, along with the media, jump to the conclusion that Melissa Walker has killed her husband in a fit of rage and is on the run. So we've got dead husband, we've got best friend accused of it, and she has gone missing. So on top of all of this, Amani and her husband, who is a chef, have rented an extra room in their house to a struggling waitress from his restaurant. And Tanya has moved in with her teenage daughter, and the convenient timing and her suspicious behavior soon lead Amani to suspect that the true killer is living right under her roof. Now all she has to do is prove it. So this sounds so deliciously twisty, and I am completely here for it. So I have read One Little Secret by Kate Holohan, and I have a few other of her books, which I haven't read yet, but I'm so super excited to have this one, and I'm so grateful that she sent it out. So like I said, I will be reading this before it comes out. It is up next on my non-TBR TBR, and I'll let you guys know what I think. But it definitely says that she is fans of Ruth Ware, fans of Lisa Jewell. I have seen her talk at Thriller Fest. I had the joy of meeting her at Thriller Fest last time I went back in 2019. I feel like everything I'm like back in 2019, but I'm very, very excited for this. Like I said, I'm hearing some great pre-buzz about it by other people who have the arc and who have read it. And I love anything that takes place in New York. And then I think there is an element of panorama to this in terms of being stuck with someone in your house. I don't know if I feel like I heard her say that in an interview that I was watching her and Vanessa Lilly talk about this book. And I don't know, I will let you guys know obviously, but super excited for it. And there you have it, Darkness of Others. So coming out August 30th, we have Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. And I talked about this in my pre-orders, most anticipated, and I had no idea what the book was about. And I completely was like, oh, they're all coming for Nana's 80th birthday, how fun. Nana doesn't survive her 80th birthday, so things get messed up for Nana. So we've got a family reunion that leads to murder. So Daisy Darker's entire family is assembling for Nana's 80th birthday in Nana's crumbling Gothic house on a tiny tidal island, because of course, finally back together one last time, when the tide comes in, they will be cut off from the rest of the world for 8 hours. The family arrives, each of them harboring secrets. Then at the stroke of midnight, as the storm rages, Nana is found dead, and an hour later, the next family member follows. So, very And Then There Were None. I love me some Alice Feeney. His and Hers is my favorite of all of her books. I loved Rock, Paper, Scissors. I loved Sometimes I Lie. And I'm super excited for this one. So I did pre-order this from Book Depository. I cannot wait for it to arrive. I will be diving in. I love an isolated thriller. I love her writing. I'm totally jazzed for the And Then There Were None vibes to this all. And I just can't wait. So super excited for this one. Next up is The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the 3rd book in the Inheritance Game series, and I am obsessed. So I just finished rereading / audiobook book number 1, The Inheritance Games. It's the 3rd time I've read the book, and I'm gonna reread Hawthorne Legacy next, so I'm fully up to speed for book number 3. So the premise of book number 1 is we meet Avery Grams. She is a junior in high school, super down on her luck. Her mom has passed away. Her dad is basically out of the picture, and she lives with her half-sister, same dad, different moms, and they are struggling to basically like keep things together. And Avery winds up basically getting the call that she has been left in the will of this bazillionaire, Tobias Hawthorne, who is just this like richer than rich dude who lives down in Texas, or at least he did until he died. So she winds up going down there. She has, it's like riddles and mysteries and rules, and she has to live in his house, and he has basically disinherited his entire family in favor of her, and she's never met him before. So it has some major Westing Games vibes to it. We have 4 grandsons of Tobias Hawthorne who are none too jazzed. Their mom is none too jazzed about what's going on. There's mysteries, there's riddles, there's like secret passageways, and it's just such a great puzzle of a book. Great characters. It's YA. You've got a little bit of a love interest going on. You obviously have some mystery going on, but I just think it's so smart. I think it's so well done. I finished listening to Inheritance Games yesterday again on audiobook, and still the ending of that book still gives me chills. Like it still does. I know the ending, 3rd time I've read it. I know what happens in book number 2, but the end of book number 1 still completely gets me so excited, and I just can't wait to see what's gonna happen next. So stay tuned again for what I think of this book when I read it, because I will be. Another YA book, but a standalone, in case you're looking for some YA standalone, is Nothing More to Tell by Karen McManus. So this one says, be sure to keep your friends close and your secrets closer. So I have read a few of her books. I've enjoyed them. I really enjoyed The Cousins a lot. And in this one, we have 4 years ago, Bryn left St. Ambrose School following the shocking murder of her favorite teacher. A story that made headlines after the teacher's body was found by 3 St. Ambrose students in the woods behind their school. That was a really long sentence. The case was never solved. Now that Bryn is moving home and starting her dream internship at a true crime show, love me some true crime, she's determined to find out what really happened. So she's digging into the past, she's shaking up the present. She, of course, is going to have to deal with her ex-best friend, Trip, who was one of the people who found her favorite teacher, Mr. Larkin, and she's just gonna revisit everything that happened. 4 years ago, someone got away with murder. The most terrifying part is that they never left. So again, I enjoy me some Karen McManus. I think her books are fun, and this will definitely be on my list to give a go-to. The next book I have is How to Survive Your Murder by Danielle Valentine. So this is a YA book. I want to say it's a debut, and this is like, it's giving me a little bit of Good Girl's Guide to Murder vibe, but it also has a bit of like a fantastical element to it. So in this one, we have Alice Lawrence, and she's the sole witness in her sister's murder trial. So it's been a year since Claire died, and Alice's life has completely fallen apart. So we've got all sorts of stuff going on here. And she is being forced to face her sister's killer in a courtroom full of people who doubt what she saw in a corn maze the year before. So Claire was the all-American girl. Alice was the nerd who dreamed of becoming a forensic pathologist and would rather stay home and watch her favorite horror movies than go to a party. But despite their differences, they were bonded by sisterhood and were each other's best friends until Claire was taken away from her. So on the first day of the murder trial, here's where we get fantastical. Alice prepares to give her testimony. She is in the bathroom and she is knocked out by a Sidney Prescott lookalike. So, hi Scream. When she wakes up, it's Halloween morning a year before, the same day that Claire was murdered. Alice has until midnight to save her sister and find the real killer before he claims another victim. So my understanding in reading some early reviews of it is it's not a Groundhog Day kind of a thing where it's like she keeps waking up in that morning. It all just takes place in that morning. So she goes back in time and it's the day of. So we're just in the one day. We're not repeating things over and over again, but I don't know, it just sounds really interesting to me. Is it just me? I came across this one, like, again, super randomly, as like tends to be the case with a lot of these, but the title got me, the cover got me, and then I read the story and I was like, this sounds kind of interesting. I'll give it a go. And last but so far from least is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Finally. So I think this is officially the fourth book in that era of books of Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones, Malibu Rising, and then Carrie Soto. And Carrie does make an appearance in Malibu Rising, and I would argue plays a pivotal role in that book, even though she's in it for a small time. And this one is about the cost of greatness. The legendary athlete attempts to come back when the world considers her past her prime. So Carrie is a tennis player. She has claimed 20 Grand Slam titles, and she has shattered every record that there is. So it says she sacrificed nearly everything to become the best, with her father, Javier, as her coach. A former champion himself, Javier has trained her since the age of 2. So now we are in 1994, it's the US Open, and she is watching this young player, Nikki Chan, who is basically threatening to take over Carrie's records. And Carrie retired 6 years ago. She's 37 years old. She is basically, as you guys know, old when it comes to sports, but she's decided to come out of retirement and she has something to prove. So it is her for one epic final season. I have no doubt, based on Taylor Jenkins Reid, that this is absolutely, I just got chills actually when I read that line, that this is going to be absolutely amazing. I love her. I can't scream about my love of her enough and praise her so much. I reread Malibu Rising in June, I want to say it was, to get me back in the juice for this as well. I do have the arc of this from NetGalley. I've been intentionally saving it for August so I can read it and then talk to you guys about it as we lead up to it actually coming out rather than too far in advance. So I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. August is amazing. I told you guys, August is freaking amazing. So there you have it, a whole bunch of books coming out in August. Let me know which is top of your list. Let me know what you are going to be reading first. And if I've missed anything, of course, let me know that as well, because I know I did, because there's a cajillion books coming out this month. So happy August, everybody. Happy reading. There's so much to look forward to. And thank you guys, as always, I'm stumbling over my words, for watching and hanging out and being here today. And if you are new here, thanks for sticking this far along. Like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff, and I will see you guys in another video really soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.